Hey there, hey friends, Ken here, your thrifty apprentice. Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome back to another water soluble Wednesday. Friends, today we are going to be tackling a beginner friendly landscape. It's going to be a silhouetted sunset scene with a really colorful sky and lake in the scene. We're going to make sure that we drop a lot of colors into our silhouette so that it'll be really lively and fun. Now, as I said, this is beginner friendly, but anyone of any level can do it. It's not too complicated, but it is something that's really good for practice and a wonderful thing to get your day of painting started. I'm painting inside one of my handmade sketchbooks. This is 100% cotton paper. This is actually under the Artist Loft brand by Michael. They have a level 3 professional paper they discontinued not too long ago. So there were a lot of that 100% cotton paper that was on sale. So I started grabbing it up until there wasn't any more to grab up. I got quite a few pads and I made a few sketchbooks. It's not the best 100% cotton paper in the world, but it's pretty decent and it's holds the saturation a little bit better, or should I say water a little bit better than like a complete cellulose wood pulp paper would. I am using Paul Rubens student grade full pan set in order to paint with, and I'm using an array of brushes between synthetic and nylon bristle brush, synthetic squirrels, I'm sorry, and nylon bristles. Now here, friends, to start this off, and I did want to do like a full layout here. I just thought it would be really fun to paint it this big and just do a full page layout. So in the sky, after wetting the entire page and making sure that I had a nice even sheen over everything, I went into the sky with phthalo blue, and then I used a little of a color called rose madder to mix into that in order to get the purple. I used rose madder on its own in the sky. I used ultramarine at the top in order to give it a little depth. And then I went back and forth between those colors, just blending it until I had a sky um, that I was happy with. Now, of course, what is above must be below, so I am sort of duplicating that in the water area. And throughout this painting, I'm actually going to play with the water a little too much. And for this to be such a simple painting, I shouldn't have played with as much as I did. But ultimately, I am happy with the way that the illustration came out. With that said, I put the same colors in the water, and then for the land bank in the foreground, it was a mixture of me going back and forth between yellow ochre, a little burnt sienna, and then I mixed a gray by blending both that phthalo blue and ultramarine together first, and then mixed burnt sienna into it until I got a cool leaning gray that I could work with. And I painted that on. As you can see, one of the drawbacks of this paper, although it's cotton and it will hold water for a while, there's quite a shift. And because I was painting so wet, that made the paint shift even more. So although I'm happy with the way the sky looks, the water itself wasn't deep enough for me. So I'm going to go back and start playing with that water as this painting goes on, as I was explaining earlier. But right now, what I'm doing is putting in the mountain range and treetop forest range to the left side of my illustration. And this is where you're going to see I am going to be using the same colors that I used in the sky and in the water in order to create this. So first I put on a lighter layer of gray trees so it would look like they were in the distance. Then I went in with a heavier layer, saturated, really wet, to put some trees on top of that. I really wanted it to look kind of thick and dense back in there. You will notice that as I go down this mountain range, I'm going to be shifting back and forth between the gray I made, pure mass tone phthalo blue, pure mass tone ultramarine, back to the gray. I'll be using pure mass tone rose madder when I get to the end of it. And I will let those colors blend together back and forth as I put them in there. And what this does is it gives your silhouette paintings more life, more punch, color, brightness, and it just kind of overall illuminates your silhouette paintings a little more. Not that there's anything wrong with just using black, but I just thought I'd show you another really simple way to do a straightforward, simple painting, but to add some life to it. And as I go down that mountain line, I'm just using the very tip of a really thin nylon brush to create some treetops in the distance. And pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but that color made such an impact in comparison to just doing it in black. Again, not that there's anything wrong with that. Now, I'm going to throw a little itty bitty mountain range over to the opposite side of this, and I'm keeping it smaller and lighter so that it'll look like it's further in the distance than the original mountain and trees that we painted. This is just giving the painting a little bit more depth, adding another sort of element to it to give it just a little bit more complication, but still not too much to make it like hard to do. So now we're painting the foreground, and I'm starting off with that rose madder. It has a little ultramarine in it just to kind of dull it down a little bit. And I'm really going to kind of paint the entire foreground, excuse me, land and rock mass with that color. Now I'm going in with some of that darker neutral that I made earlier. I told you I made that from the phthalo blue, ultramarine, and the rose madder. And basically what I'm doing is using that color to block out the land area, and it's going to wet the foreground area. Because of course I'm going to be doing the exact same thing that I did for the tree line by dropping those different colors from the sky and the water into the foreground as well. And it's going to give it more punch, more life, and bring it closer to us. So this step was just to make sure that everything was wet, have a base layer of that sort of gray tone, kind of watered down. Now I'm dropping in some of the dark and some of the phthalo blue. I'm sorry, some of the dark and some of the ultramarine. I'm going in with some rose madder mixed with ultramarine. And you can see the difference that it makes when you use all of these deeper, beautiful, saturated colors in order to do your silhouette versus just using a really dark gray or just saying Payne's gray by itself. Not to say that there's anything wrong with it at all. None, nothing whatsoever. You see, with the drawing, there was a bit of a shift. That is the only drawback to this paper, really, that it shifts a little bit more than other cotton papers. It does give you the performance of a cotton paper. It really does. I don't get too many harsh lines. It doesn't dry too quickly. It gives me working uh, ability or workability when I'm doing wet into wet, but it definitely shifts a bit when you dry. Now here I am putting in the tree. I put that tree in with this brush called a wisp brush. And it's kind of got bristles packed together and then bristles that are cut out so that the ones that are packed together will give you this special effect. You guys have to forgive that noise you just heard in the background if you were able to hear that. Someone passed the studio playing music really loudly, so I really apologize if you were able to hear that. So I'm dabbing in some shadow in the tree, just using the darker gray that I made. And I'm also using it to start outlining and putting shadow in under the rocks that are on this little hill area, just so they'll stand out, have a little bit more of a 3D feel. And you can definitely be able to tell the difference between the rock area and the actual hill itself. And yeah, pretty straightforward here. Put some shadow under on the ground, under each one of them, adding a little detail to the rocks. So they'll look like they have shape and they may have some age to them with some cracks and things of that nature. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Putting shadow in at this point under our large land mass. And I'm keeping this reflection pretty straightforward. I'm not trying to make it exact. I'm just using my brush to wisp left and right, and that's a round brush, and getting the general shape of that land. and extending it a little bit further out than you might expect simply because it's water, and that's the effect that water tends to have. I'm going to throw a little reflection in under the mountain, further in the background. And then I'm going to put just a few little streaks here across the foreground landmass. Not too much, just a few. Now, this is where I should have left things alone. So I didn't feel like the water was saturated enough. So I'm going in with a really watery layer of the phthalo blue, throwing in rose madder, throwing in ultramarine, and I'm basically just trying to add more saturation to the water so that it'll feel bolder and brighter than the sky. And I should have left it alone once I did that very first layer. But of course, I go back in and I continue to blend. First time I did it because I thought I was starting to see blooms in my lake and I didn't want that. So I kind of blended that out and it seemed to have lifted a little bit of the paint. And then I'm gonna go in and find myself putting in more of a shadow mask here. And I feel like I made it too dark. Decided to change my mind on that while it was still wet and blended that in because it was made from the same colors that was in the water, so I knew it would match. And at this point, I threw in a little bit more of that purple blended between ultramarine and rose madder, and I left it alone. It didn't come out quite the way I wanted it, but it still looks like a reflection of the sky, so it works. I'm splattering in some texture on those rocks. I'm going to clean up my little shadow area again here, putting it back the way I had it originally. And now I'm going to go in and put some little shadow grasses in the foreground, around some of the rocks, around the trees, just putting things up, whisking my brush on the very tip of it. I really do like this brush. I really do. That little brush does some great detailing. And now, of course, I'm taking a still kind of, everyday run of the mill. You can get it in any big box store brush, coming like value packs. And the bristles are hard, so I'm using that in order to lift out some highlights on my rocks. And because most of the colors that we used were sedimentary outside of like the phthalo blue, um, it's easy to lift. Easy to lift. All right, friends, I'm throwing in some highlights. And into that, I'm going to put a moon, reflections in the water. That's pretty much going to wrap it up. I'm really hoping you give this a try. Drop in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this. Let me know if you are going to give it a try, or have you used Paul Rubens Studio Grade paints or this paper? Any of that, start a conversation. If you're new or returning and haven't subscribed, do subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Absolutely. If you saw anything or heard anything you like, don't forget to sprinkle a little love. Give the video a thumbs up. You can also make the decision to go ahead and hype up the video, get it in front of other viewers just like yourself. And please, please, please be sure to check the video description. There's a lot of good things down there. Most recommended product list, uh, artist wish list, all of the social sites, the Defiant Art website link, Palm Street link, and all of that good jazz. So, friends, I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll see you soon, and remember to just keep creating.